Today I'm going to chat about a tale of three homeschool moms. They're in different seasons, but they're all wanting to live a purposeful homeschool mom life. I would love to hear from you. What brings you to this homeschool mom chat this week? And if we haven't already met, I'm Teresa Wiedrich. I'm the graduated homeschool mom turned certified life coach in this homeschool mom space. It is so lovely to meet you. Hello there. I'd love to hear from you. What brings you to this conversation today? So I've been homeschooling for around 2 decades, mothering for a solid 25, and I've noticed that there are distinct seasons in a homeschool mom's life, and I thought I would bring to you a conversation around 3 specific kinds of seasons in the homeschool mom life today. I'm curious where you're at, how you would define your season of homeschool mom life. Clearly mine is in the graduated homeschool mom life. I'm sticking around these spaces to support other homeschool moms so they can shed what's not working, show up in their homeschool and their mom lives authentically, confidently, and purposefully. If you would like to introduce yourself, or if you would like to maybe perhaps discuss this conversation, go further in this conversation with me, you're always welcome to join me in a no obligation conversation to clarify your challenges and create an action plan. Okay, so let's do this. We all know that homeschooling is not a one-size-fits-all journey. We don't choose the same curriculum, we don't choose the same philosophies, we don't have the same kids, we don't have the same perspective on what an education is or similar family values than everyone else. We're unique. And this is also our experience as homeschool moms in the long-term journey of homeschool mom living. And of course, when you're first new to the homeschool mom life, you're likely to have a different experience than you are wherever you're at presently, unless you're new, and welcome to homeschooling if you are. But if you are where I'm at, you're going into an entirely different season. But in between the new homeschool mom life and the graduated homeschool mom life, there are a variety of things that happen along the way for many homeschool moms. So I want to introduce you to 3 stories that will help you to perhaps help you recognize where you're at in your homeschool mom journey. So I'd love to hear who's here today, who you're homeschooling, and what season of homeschooling you understand yourself to be presently. So here's homeschool mom number 1. She's a real homeschool mom that I've worked with in coaching, so I'm not going to use her name, but she is somebody that came to me before her kids even went into the school age years. So they were in the toddler preschool age. She wanted to know what her next step was if she was to pursue homeschooling and how she might go about doing that. She was pretty uncertain of the experience because so many people were criticizing the concept of homeschooling. Even if you started much later in your homeschool journey, you'll probably recognize your stage of homeschooling. If you have been homeschooling for a while, you'll recognize this new homeschool mom journey. Because do you remember that feeling? You made this huge decision to homeschool, and suddenly you're feeling like there's an avalanche of curriculum and resources and routine questions and well-meaning relatives that are giving you feedback that you aren't asking for, but you definitely want to please everybody and make sure that everybody is satisfied with your choice. And frankly, you just want to be confident and satisfied in your choice, and you just feel overwhelmed. That mom is constantly battling self-doubt. She's wondering if she's doing enough. She's wondering if her kids are falling behind, if she's made the right choice, if she's doing right by her kids. Oftentimes, not always, but almost always, she's trying to recreate some version of school or how she understood school to be at home because it feels more legitimate, and certainly perhaps her husband or her partner or her mother-in-law are more satisfied with her approach if she is following a more regimented approach to home education. I know one mom who felt completely overwhelmed when she first began homeschooling. She struggled to articulate why she was even choosing this path and how she would make it work. What made the difference for her was having someone to talk through her ideas, someone neutral who wasn't in her family sphere or in her community sphere, and help her to bounce a few ideas, actually speak to all the lack of confidence moments, those things where you're like, is this really legitimate? Can I really teach my child at home without feeling criticized by someone else that is saying, well, you could just put them into school. So having someone neutral that wasn't directly involved in her life situation made her feel more confident. She had a regular check-in and accountability, a gentle accountability practice that helped her process her thoughts and get more clarity on how she wanted to do her homeschool life. Just being able to walk alongside an experienced homeschool mom helped her create more informed choices about her homeschool mom life, and also gave her a burnout prevention plan, which if you've been homeschooling for a while, you're going to figure that out by yourself over the course of time, or you can have someone give you a few pointers before you even get into the thick of your homeschool mom life. She also had opportunity to discuss the frequently asked questions that all the people in her sphere were going to ask her, or at least all the people in this experienced homeschool mom's life were asked. All the questions that she had to ask, she already knew how she could approach them, and so she encouraged this new homeschool mom to address them directly. She knew what the questions would be, and she had a quick answer. She was more secure in her decisions and could clearly explain why when she was questioned, because she's questioned. That's a common conversation point in the season of the new homeschool mom life. So how does she find purpose? Well, she has to learn how to simplify. Instead of trying to do everything, she has to focus on connecting with her kids first, and also creating time to connect with herself. She builds a foundation of trust with her kids, creates more space so that they have more downtime. There's margins in their days. They can also connect and also explore their interests. She remembers that learning happens naturally because she begins to watch it with her kids, and they become more secure. She's learning to trust the process instead of chasing this idealized version of school at home, or all the other schooled mindsets that everyone has around homeschooling, let alone the schooled experience. She's discovering that the messy days when the science experiment fails, or when the plans she had definitely did not happen, all of those days, they can be frustrating, but they're only temporary blips. In fact, they might even be personal growth learning opportunities. So what would her tip be for you if you are in the new homeschool mom stage? Write down your why. Revisit it when you doubt yourself. That original vision that led you to homeschooling is your anchor when things get tricky, and when those days, those challenging days, seem to almost turn into weeks or perhaps months. So revisit your why, and don't be afraid to seek out coaching. Sometimes talking through your choices with someone helps you to understand what you're really struggling with, understanding the root of your struggle. If you are in this stage, drop a 1 in the comments. I see you. I've been there. I talk to homeschool moms in this stage all the time on socials and in my Homeschool Mamas support group on Facebook. I also have a guide for first-year homeschool moms. So I often have conversations with moms in the Guide to First-Year Homeschooling email newsletter. Okay. So mom number 2, that tired middle-stage homeschooler. Let's meet the second homeschool mom. So she's been at it for a while. I don't know, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 12 years, depends on how many kids you have. Well, the initial excitement has worn off, and now she's in the trenches. Now she can maybe even call herself a veteran homeschool mom. She's juggling multiple kids at different ages and stages. Her older ones need more structure and guidance for possible future planning, unless they don't and they want to entirely unschool and lean into that child's interests. But there is more of an independent-oriented approach to their learning, whether they have guidance in a more classical approach or an unschool approach, but there's more of a hands-off experience. But with the little ones, there's still hands-on attention. There's a mixed bag of mom's attention going in many different directions. Her biggest challenge, she'll often say, is, and I know most of you are in this phase, so what would you say it is? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So I hear often, it's either I'm not feeling like this is enough, or the big word, the B word, balance. So when she focuses on high school preparation for her first teenager, then she wonders if her younger kids are getting neglected. Or when she does a fun project with the youngest ones, then her older child, is he really falling into line with his routine and his, long-term high school plan? Is he really doing the important work? Is he getting it done? Are we going to do enough for when he graduates and maybe wants to go to post-secondary school? Somehow she's supposed to keep the house running while all of this is happening. And self-care, Teresa just keeps talking about self-care and wellness. How in the world am I able to accomplish that? I can barely keep the laundry folded. Can I hear an amen? And are you there? Because I'd love to hear if you're in this season of the mom number 2. I know a lot of homeschool moms, but I knew a homeschool mom that was struggling with this who had 4 kids. Now, I'm not saying that 4 is the industry average for a homeschool mom, but maybe. How many kids do you have? I'd be curious. So on the surface, this mom was dealing with scheduling conflicts. One child wanted to go one place, another child wanted to do an activity on another day. They didn't know how to bring both kids to the same or different activities with one vehicle. But when she dug deeper, she discovered that the real issues that she was having were more about creating margins in her life, recognizing what really mattered, sometimes building boundaries with certain kids and saying, I'm sorry, honey, I love you. We do not have capacity to do all the things. As her kids grew older, especially her teenage daughter, she needed a completely different approach because that kiddo just wasn't able or interested in homeschooling the same way that her older brothers were interested. So mom had to shift gears, but she didn't. First, she tried to force the way that worked with the older kids. And so this next child was not as eager to do the home education process in the same way as the older kiddos. So she had to find a way to build relationship first, make connection the first and most important thing, and then move into what should we do for your education at this stage of your journey. She had to create a safe, supportive space for her daughter so that her daughter could honestly share about her struggles. She created boundaries with her daughter. She also helped her daughter explore what mattered most to her and how she wanted to incorporate social time. She got more motivated because her mom stopped pushing so hard in ways that really didn't reflect who this child was. So this mom learned to lean in to the new season with older kids. Once that first kiddo hits high school, things begin to shift, and fast. We think that, wow, here we are on the shores of homeschooling high school, and what a big choice to make for our kids. But we discover quickly that our child actually wants to have an influence in whether they homeschool high school, and so we have to explore that with them. But when they move into that homeschool or into the high school phase, no matter what choices they make at that stage, then something big happens in the family. All of a sudden, it feels like you went from one child getting into high school years to everything zooming by. If you thought it was fast from 0 to 5, when the first child becomes a teen, I found teenage 1 to teenage 4 went very, very fast. Also, you'll spend a lot of time in the minivan. Can I hear an amen? So here's how this mom learned to live on purpose. She learned to adjust her expectations. She learned that integrating the most important things was her friend. History can be read aloud to everyone, no matter what the age. Perhaps the exploration questions are different, but there are some ways to incorporate some of the lessons with everyone. Certainly the same can be said for science. In fact, in my experience, the homeschool high school kiddo actually taught some of the science concepts to the younger kiddo. That was really fun for them to do together. Also, one kiddo taught math to another kiddo, and that was simply a way of expressing their abilities, and they were proud to be able to share it. So this mom particularly discovered that when siblings learn to work together and support each other, they're developing skills that is more valuable than what any teach book or textbook could teach. Say that 5 times fast. Whatever textbook could teach. So here's her tip for you. Find one thing that brings you to a little bit more satisfaction or joy to all your kids, and do it consistently. So it doesn't have to look like school, how you do homeschool. You already know that. You certainly know that if you've been around me at all. But don't be afraid to seek support for the deeper challenges that might be affecting your homeschool journey, like a relationship with a kiddo. Sometimes what looks like a scheduling problem, or the inability to check off all the boxes, or the overwhelm of busyness is actually a boundaries problem. It's not really a homeschool problem. So I'm curious, if you're in the middle of stage 2, drop a 2 in the comments below. I see your tired smile. I know that your dish or your sink is full of dirty dishes and your laundry is unfolded, and that is totally okay. I know that you can get through this season of your homeschool mom life. I understand that journey. It was not really that long ago that I was there. So mom number 3 is what I'll call transitioning homeschooler. So this mom is facing big changes. After years of pouring herself into her homeschool mom life, she finds herself at a significant crossroad. Her older kids are becoming more independent, and she is confronting personal struggles that she's pushed aside while she's focused on her family's needs. Now, she could actually have been experiencing these personal struggles all along, but she certainly will discover that she has more time to discover that certain relationship challenges that she has are more obvious or more highlighted because she's got more time to notice them. Might be with her partner, might be with someone else. But she needs to find her footing and feel a little more grounded because everything around her is shifting. Possibly, probably, she's even in perimenopause. So entire body is shifting. As her homeschool chapter began closing, she started exploring maybe a different creativity. She's really interested in building a small business. I've met many moms and walked alongside many moms building small businesses. There's also, maybe she's just more interested in graphic design, or she's interested in art, or she's interested in crocheting. There's a mom in our Confident Homeschool Mom Collective too, actually, that are quite into that. And so everybody has their different creativities, but she'll lean in more to her creativities because she simply has more time. She finds a mentor or a coach to help her to pursue those dreams and support her creativity. And when discouragement hits and she says, everyone is leaving, they're all growing up. Apparently they were supposed to. But I have so much more time. I don't know how to do or deal with this time. I don't know how to engage this space in a way that feels really satisfying because everything is shifting here. Well, she might have someone like a coach. If you want it to be me, you're welcome to connect with me. But having someone else outside of her to guide her through this very significant transition in her female life. Helping someone or having someone help her clarify what is her why now? What is her vision for the rest of her life? You know that question we ask 18-year-olds, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Well, that's a question you're going to revisit when your oldest or your youngest graduates from your home. So there is also the transition of a homeschool mom life when a homeschool mom is focusing on her personal healing journey, and she's doing it right alongside her homeschool experience. It's a challenge because something significant happened to her when she was younger, or maybe as she was in her 20s or 30s, and it's a very significant event. You fill in the blank, because I work so often one-on-one with these moms, and y'all have really big stories. I've got them too, but everybody's got these really big stories, and they're homeschooling, and that is a lot, and they discover a myriad of reasons why those unhealed areas of themselves are conflicting with their homeschool mom life and really achieving the things they want within their home. The connection with their kids, feeling purposeful, feeling intentional in whatever they're doing presently. They have a hard time staying present and not feeling overwhelmed. So she might be in that place where she's actually going through a healing journey at the same time she's homeschooling. Having someone who would listen to her deeply, laugh with her, be her cheerleader, cry with her, and get curious with her can be transformative. It's a safe space that lets her do the deep emotional work that she may have postponed for years while she was raising younger kids, but now she cannot put it off anymore. It's affecting too much of her life. And so she has to do something with it. And she recognizes that it feels like she's hit a wall and she has to address the challenge that's in here so that she can do out here more satisfyingly. So both of those transition women discovered that their purpose didn't end when their homeschool journey changed. It evolved, it expanded. It was more satisfying when she became more present, less overwhelmed. So did her kids. She became more purposeful. So did her kids. They found that taking care of themselves and pursuing their passions actually created important life lessons for their kids, and their kids were definitely watching. So both of these women discovered that their purpose didn't end when their homeschool journey shifted. They found that it was possible to make it even more alive and more enjoyable. So their tip for you is to give yourself permission to evolve and change, to heal and dream again. Your identity, who you are as a homeschool mom, it extends beyond homeschool mom. It might be fully immersed in this role right now, and that is so beautiful. And also, it will shift again and again, your identity along the way. Even though the role you shaped, or that shaped you into this beautiful homeschool mom role, is your present experience, we are always on a growth journey. So we are becoming something new. We're transitioning to something new all the time. I think this is a very exciting stage of the journey. It certainly has been my experience in the last 5 to 7 years or so, and it feels like I'm still in that phase. So if you're in that stage, that transition stage, would you drop a 3 in the comments? I honor you and encourage you to keep exploring who you are. So whether you're just beginning, deep in the trenches, or you're transitioning into this new homeschool mom phase, the graduated homeschool mom experience, I believe ultimately homeschooling is about living on purpose. We have an opportunity to live more intentionally in our homeschool mom lives. It does not have to be about just checking off the boxes, getting the laundry done, getting the kids to their activities, and then collapsing in bed with Netflix, dark chocolate at the end of the night. Although I can also do that at times. Why not? I can accept the whole dang thing. But every stage has a challenge. All the challenges are calling you into deeper growth, unique growth opportunities, both for you and your kids. I would love to hear more about where you're at, what stage you most relate to now. So drop a comment in the DMs. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to connect with me, let me know. If you're feeling unsure about your homeschool purpose at this stage, I've created something for you called the Live Your Life on Purpose checklist. Just type purpose below, and I'll make sure that you get access to it in your DMs. And if you're feeling really stuck, then of course you're also welcome to join me for a no obligation conversation. I'll hang out here for a few minutes to answer questions in the comments, and don't forget to follow me. And if this was encouragement to you, please send it to another homeschool mom too, because I want to encourage her as well. I hope you have a beautiful week.